All right. Welcome into I guess we're still calling ourselves the Huddle Up Show. I have no real name for it, but welcome into this Friday. It has been a long week, man. Long week. I don't know about y'all. It's for me. Put out on X this morning, went to the DMV to get some stuff done with my license, and somebody came up to me and said, "Sir, you look like you've gone through it. Are you okay?" And I didn't really know how to feel about that. Didn't know if I just looked that rough or if I should be happy that someone's checking on me. But nonetheless, we have made it to Friday, which means we're one sleep away from more South Carolina football. And if you are joining us here for the first time, I've only been covering the Gamecocks for this is my second year now. But if you're here for the first time, how we do it here is I value your time and I want you to get out here quick. I typically do no more than 10 to 15 minutes if I can help it. I love to keep these videos in between the 5 to 10 minutes because, again, your time is valuable to me, and I want you to hear everything it is about your football team that I think and predict that will happen in the upcoming game. But driving straight into the point, because we didn't do like a post-game show like we usually do, but I'm sure we'll do that and get back to it here soon. A lot of mistakes happened on the offense this past weekend against Old Dominion. And again, that's not discrediting Old Dominion because I think they're okay in their own right. But a lot of mistakes. And what I'm about to say here usually gets the response of it, and it got it quite often for some reason over on X. And maybe we need to have a class 101 on what excuses actually are. Because what I'm about to say is not an excuse at all. But it seems like, including myself, there was very, very high expectations and apparently higher than what they should have been. That is not a slight at the Norris Sellers in the slightest. I think we truly forgot just how hard it is to come and play D1 football as a starter in your first ever year. I think Lenora Sellers mentioned it kind of a little bit last year, or not last year, or talked about last year. When he came in, he typically there was nothing really to overthink. He could just go in and rip, run, and play. Right, completely different ball game this year. This year, he can't just go rip, run, and play. He kind of let himself overthink some things. He's missed some throws. He missed high. He missed low. Missed some reads. Happens with first year starters. And again, South Carolina fans that just love to think I'm making an excuse for your team. That's not an excuse. He told you during the pressure this week that he has to be better and he has to just settle in. The coach Beamer knows he has to play better, but he's still the future. He's still your starting quarterback in QB1, as he should be. But the expectations, I think, were a bit high. And now that we kind of know, hey, Sellers has some room to grow. He's not missing by much, but he's missing. If we can fix those things, what does this offense look like? Because we kind of already talked about it. If you missed the film review, which again, I apologize about that. Typically, it's ran better. As you can tell, I'm a one-man production team, so I try my best to give you content that you all can like and enjoy. But it just didn't work out that way. But it was an offense that, as a whole, made mistakes. And you can say it limited play calling. You can say the play calling was lack thereof. But regardless, that on top of the mistakes that Sellers was making, that the offensive line made here or there, and the receivers made here or there, and the tight ends, it was a group effort of just when it came into game one. Where we are with game two is how much growing up has Sellers done in a week? How much has Dow Loggins willing to change the play calling in 1 week? That's the question here. And we put out an article over on Gamecocks Digest. Hope you can go check it out about score predictions. And for me, and I'll give you my score prediction here at the end. Right now, I have a slight lean to the home team just because this is Sellers' first SEC start. Not only is it a first SEC start, it's on the road. So how will he respond, essentially, is the question. There is no doubt in my mind that Lenora Sellers is capable. I've said it before. I think his ceiling is higher, pretty high. I'm not even going to hide behind it. I was on record earlier in the offseason saying that his ceiling was that of a Cam Newton, and his floor was that of a KJ Jefferson. And I still sit behind that, and there's still growing for sellers to do. But how quick will that growing happen is to be determined. And that's kind of where I've leaned slightly towards Kentucky here. But, and I know Carolina fans do not need the rays of hope, if you will. But I do think this is a very winnable game for South Carolina. And no stretch do I think this is Kentucky is just going to outmatch you, especially on the defensive side of the ball. For South Carolina, that's going to be your strength, especially for the first couple of games until we figure out what Sellers can and cannot do and how he grows through that process. But for me, it all comes down to essentially this. Offense, what you're going to do. And that's for everybody. That's not something that's not defying or bringing up something that you as fans don't already know, whether you watch film or not. You don't have to watch film to know that the Carolina offense has to play better. The key with the Sellers miscues are fixable. The keys with the receiver and tight end miscues are fixable. How quickly are they fixed? That's the only thing we have to wait and see. And that's right now why I'm leaning towards the home team, specifically because they are the home team. Had this been at South Carolina, I can't tell you that I would be picking differently right now either. But this is a winnable game. And for me, this has to be a 4-quarter game. And Joseph, it's got to be a 4. What I mean by that is defense is going to have to hold on tight and make sure this is still a game going into the 4th quarter. If they can do that, hopefully you will have a shot as an offense to either take the lead or win. I'm thinking that's the kind of game you're going to see. I very well think this could be a 17-10 game going into the 4th quarter. South Carolina has a chance to either go and tie the ball game up or Kentucky put the game away. And right now, it's purely just based off of what we've seen. You kind of have to think, well, and until it can be proven, you have to err on the side of caution of you just don't know what's going to happen. And you'd have to lean towards the home defense in that particular instance. But that is not me saying that Lenora Sellers nor this offense can't go score points against this defense. This defense can be scored on. You just can't make the mistakes. Now, again, you're going to see that zero tech. So while you're not having to see that 3-2-6 defense, you're still going to see a 3-3-5 defense majority of the time. They do play 4-2-5 as well, but you're going to have that zero tech with the guy over center the whole entire time. So how does that change from last week? I don't know. I do think you have a very good running back, and Rocket showed how good of a running back he is. I think your running game is going to be okay, but Walker, big zero on the other end, completely different ball game than what you faced this last week. So you have to be good this week or better by a long shot than what you were this week in all aspects, not just the offensive line, not just receiving, not just quarterback, not just play calling, in all aspects. So here's my thing, and we're going to wrap it up here because like I told you, I don't want you here long. Can South Carolina win this game? Yes. Will they? As of right now, I'm hoping to be proved wrong. I would love nothing more than to come and do the post-game show here Sunday and tell you why I was wrong. But if they're going to win, here's what's going to happen. Dow Loggins has to get the quick game going. I don't know if it's just a lack of wanting to. I don't know if it's a lack of they don't think they can. I don't know. I'm not in the play or in the building. I'm not in the rooms when they're going over all this. I cannot tell you with 100% certainty of why the quick game didn't seem to really happen. But the quick game's got to be there this weekend. You have to be willing to throw screens. We have to be willing to get Nick Harbor the ball out on the edge with an end around something. Get your playmakers the ball one way or the other. What they cannot do is become predictable like they were against Old Dominion. Now, again, I'm sure there's several different things that you can hold that to where they weren't showing the whole playbook? Well, I think if you're losing to Old Dominion to go and have to go down and score and really needing 2 defensive stops to kind of assist that, you might want to open the playbook to do it. So I don't necessarily think that is the answer here, but it's got to happen. You have to find a way to get Lenora Sellers in a rhythm, which he was not able to find last game. And again, that's no one else's fault either. Lenore's has to hit. He knows that. The receivers have to catch the ball as well. The tight ends have to catch. The tight ends have to block. The receivers have to block on the exterior. A lot of things have to happen. We've talked about that in this first 10 minutes, right? But that quick game has to show up, because if you're predictable and it's run, pass, or run Sellers, run Rocket pass, or whatever the case may be, this isn't the defense that you want to be predictable against, because it's not the same Old Dominion defense you faced last week. This is Kentucky. This is a very big defensive line, especially Big Zero Walker. They have Jamon Dumas-Johnson, I believe, the transfer from Georgia. They have 10, I believe 9 or 10 of their starters are returning from last year's defense. This is a good defensive team, and you're on the road. You have got to get Lenora Sellers the easy easy pass and catches. Let the receivers run. Receivers block. If you don't have it, I don't really know what to tell you here. And the defense is going to have a long day, and good luck stopping it. The defense has to have good sideline to sideline speed, in my opinion. And I think they have that with Knight, with Debo, and Bam. So that helps you with your linebackers. The secondary, like I've said over on X all yesterday and today, you have to be able to play physical and be aggressive at the point of attack, especially with those screens. They love getting Brown, the receiver, the ball, number 7. Be aggressive, attack through those blocks, and you have to make tackles against this defense. Outside of that, I think Stewart and Kennard could have another decent game. I secretly think these tackles are definitely beatable. Every tackle is beatable, sure. But there were some clips during Southern Miss that speed can really be a factor here. And if you have that speed over on the edge, those tackles every now and then tend to struggle. And I don't think they faced a Southern Miss edge that they're going to see in Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart. So I do think this is a game you could very well see 2 or 3 more sacks for both of those guys. Not necessarily each, but you could definitely see it. So final thoughts, wrapping it up. I currently right now have Kentucky winning 24-17. Again, I'm having to go with the home team right now just because I don't know how much growing up happened with the offense. And that's not something you can predict. So I hope I'm wrong. I truly do. I hope I come back and say, what an idiot Joseph was. But if they're going to win this football game, as we've alluded to already, Dow Longins has got to get the quick game going. 2, Lenora Sellers has to hit on those passes. Period. Lenora Sellers, Dow Longins, go make them. With that, defense, hold strong. I think if the defense can hold Kentucky's running game to under 120 yards, I think you're competing in the fourth quarter. What happens in the fourth quarter, we are yet to see, but I'm done rambling on and taking your time. That's kind of where we're at today. I hope we are in a different position come Sunday when we're talking the post-game show, and hopefully we can sit here and say your South Carolina Gamecocks are 2-0. And hopefully you like the polo that I had to get because I don't own anything South Carolina. But nonetheless, we'll see how it happens. We'll see how it plays out. We will see y'all next time on the Huddle Up Show. Until then, have a blessed one.